Sir. I am Gino Dalo from B Smart E3 Delta. So today we will discuss about the operating procedure in firing the boiler using this diagram, which is the auxiliary steam boiler and its control panel. So the first thing to do, we must ensure that there are enough voltage being supplied in our operating procedure in our main boiler. So we must check in the main breaker line if the voltage reaches to 220 volts using or by the use of a tester para ma-ensure that there is enough electricity of voltage na magamit during the operation of our auxiliary boiler. So, after that, check the control panel. So we must check the control panel. So this is the control panel. If everything is being turned off or closed, like the main switch, feed pump, fuel pump, and everything that must be necessary closed in this control panel para ma-ensure ang safety once we turn on our operation. So once we are done or we are checked that everything is closed, so it is time to close our open. It is the time to open our main breaker and also the main switch. So we turn on this main switch. So we have also the lamp control. So in the lamp control, it check if all the lights in the control panel is functioning, and in the alarm confirmation, we must acknowledge. So there in this area there is the acknowledge of the alarm, then rectify it para ma-ensure nga after rectifying, so i-ensure nato nga we press the reset button para gali because this reset button serve as an interlock para so dili gali ma-operate siya dili ma-operate back again ang atong system once dili na nato reset. So once na reset na gali, so we will continue our operation. So going back to our diagram, as what we can see, so there is no water inside our boiler by looking this water level gauge. So there is no feed water being inside our boiler by this water level gauge. So before refilling our water level, filling our feed water, so we must close this scum valve, blow down valve, the main steam valve, then open the air vent so and close and or open the valves that are lined up in this feed pump number 1, because later we will use it para gali once we start up our feed water pump, it will prevent damage since we open it na or we prepare it na ang ato ang feed line up sa ato ang feed water pump. So we go to the control panel. So in the feed pump selection, we switch to select feed pump number 1. So and we set the feed pump control mode into manual. So once we start, so we press this feed pump start. So we press the feed pump start, and once start up na, we can see that the feed water is filling up our boiler. So filling up our boiler. So once the water inside the boiler, as we can see in the water level gauge, reaches to 45 to 50%, then it is the time to stop the feed pump or stop the feed water pump into the boiler, so that the steam will have when setting, because the steam will have a space for expansion and to prevent water priming that the water will carried out in the steam line, and also water hammering that may cause damage and also decrease the efficiency of our steam if we overfill the boiler with feed water. So we must control the feed water in filling up, which is 45 to 50%. Now that we have water in the boiler, let us start firing up the burner. So first, we must check if there is enough fuel available. So there is feed water tank below this feed water supply valve. So we must check this feed water tank if there is fuel or there is enough fuel available in the operation. So checking the fuel level gauge, and once we done checking the fuel, then open the fuel supply valves. So this is the fuel supply valves, and all the necessary valve to be open so that the fuel can enter into the burner. So once we are allowed to the fuel to enter a burner, so it is go to the control panel in the boiler oil firing block. So we must choose burner nozzle 1 and switch the boiler control mode into manual. So once we start it up, the boiler control mode to manual, so the blower is starting to suck up air into the combustion space for the pre-forging. So this pre-forging is the removal of unwanted or flammable gases nga may cause gani of flare back, that may cause flare back, and open also the air damper, para gali release effectively those flammable gases. So once there are no traces na of flammable gases, then it is this time to manually press the spark manual. So if the boiler control mode gali, kung manually press the spark manual kung giset na to ang boiler control mode to manual, but if the boiler control mode is set to automatic, so it will automatically spark once the operation of the boiler is okay. So once the operation of the boiler is now starting, it can be seen in the sight glass if the combustion is good, since the color of the fire is gold, and if smoke is visible, then the combustion is bad. So then it is the time also to conduct intermittent firing. So intermittent firing, so it is the on and off to the burner in order to warm up the boiler tube to avoid damage and to have a balanced expansion to the boiler tubes. So when there is steam created na, so in intermittent firing, so once there are steam created na, so then the steam will goes out to the air vent. So and once there are steam going out to the air vent, it is the time to close the air vent for faster building up steam pressure inside the boiler. And also it is the time to stop intermittent firing and proceed to continuous firing to produce greater firing by going. So in order to produce greater firing, go to control panel, and then di ba ganina nag nozzle 1 ta, so it is the time to switch to nozzle 2 in the burner. So once we switch to nozzle 2, then the increase of steam is created, and the pressure of steam kanang inside sa ato ang boiler, inside the boiler can be read in the pressure gauge. So there are pressure gauge. So after that, if enough na ang pressure, then gradually open ang main steam valve to avoid thermal shock and water hammering as it goes sa ato ang consumer, and also to remove the condensate that are present in the pipe. So to remove the condensate that are present in the pipe and open the valves going to the steam trap in order to release those condensate that were being carried into the steam. So let us assume that all the condensate and warming up our pipe is done. So it is time to open the main steam valve fully, and also the supply steam to the consumer, in which the conversion of energy happens. From thermal energy to mechanical, and if the consumer attached by a generator, then from mechanical it will turns into electrical energy. So once the operation is done, let us proceed to the stopping operation. So let us assume that the operation is being done na. So by stopping the operation, so press the stop button of the burner, or stop the button of the stop button, then off the burner. Then on the boiler control mode, the feed pump control, or the feed pumps will stop the feed pump, then off the main switch and close the air damper to prevent moisture going inside to our boiler, and close all the necessary valve to be closed in order to secure our boiler and secure our boiler and to prevent damage.